Welcome to Sports Time with Chris. Today is a big matchup for the 49ers. They are playing their longtime Super Bowl rival, the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't know if I would consider it a rivalry because the Chiefs have won every matchup. So yeah, this is more like just a mental hurdle 49ers need to get over this week. So we'll be talking about that, and I'll be giving my keys to the game along with my score prediction at the end of this episode. But before we get there, we need to do a little catching up. My last episode was on Saturday, recapping the 49ers win versus the Seahawks, and took a little break since then. We went on a little family trip, and so I was out of town for a few days, and just needed a little break from recording. And so now I'm trying to get back into the flow of things and get my schedule back on track. The Utah Hockey Club suffered its first loss the other day, and I think they lost last night as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they lost to the Ducks in overtime Wednesday, and then they lost to the Devils on Monday, and they beat the Rangers in overtime on Saturday. So yeah, a couple losses in a row for the hockey club, but I unfortunately have not been able to watch as many of those games as I wanted to. There is a free channel where you can watch them. I think it's called Utah 16 or something like that. And I have an antenna, but when I go to scan for different channels, for whatever reason, that one doesn't show up. So I don't know if I'm out of range for that specific one, but that was a little bit of a bummer. So we'll have to see. I'll catch games whenever I can. Otherwise, I just kind of keep up on Twitter and Instagram. But they suffered a pretty major injury. I believe Sean Dursey is going to be out for a while. He had some sort of surgery. I didn't get all the details. I probably should have. So that's quite unfortunate. At this point, I don't really have any favorites on the team yet. Gunther has been solid. Clayton Keller has been pretty good. So I'm still learning. I am a little bummed out. I can't watch those games as much, and I don't really want to pay for another subscription. So not really going to buy the Hockey Club mobile app or whatever it's called, because I have way too many subscriptions, and it's getting expensive. So yeah, I'll have to see if I can find a different antenna or something and get into those hockey games. But yeah, besides that, BYU plays football tonight against Oklahoma State. My boss is actually going to that game, so that's pretty cool. It's going to be a little bit of a cold, rainy, windy, wet game, so we'll see how that impacts things. But man, BYU has been really good this season, and it's been exciting to watch. I actually have allegiance to 2 college football teams. Blasphemous, I know, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't really go to any of these schools, so one of them is more of a hometown, growing up with a dad and grandpa who are fans of this school, which is BYU. So I'm a BYU fan and an Oregon Ducks fan. And I've been a Ducks fan for a long time, probably like 2013. So about 11 years I've been an Oregon Ducks fan. I don't follow college football as much as I follow NFL. But whenever there is a Ducks or BYU game on TV, I'll watch it. And last Saturday night, that was a pretty epic game with the Oregon Ducks beating who do they play? Why am I blinking right now? Ohio State, duh, of course. How did I forget Ohio State? But that was a pretty wild game, coming down to the last second. So crazy. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see Oregon beat a team like this. It feels like the last few years they've played really well, and when it comes to these really big marquee matchups, they haven't played as well, and so it's really cool to see that. Honestly, I would love to see an Oregon Ducks and BYU NCAA championship. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know how the playoff seeding works anymore and all that, but that would be pretty cool. I can't really lose that one. I think I would probably, if it came down to Oregon versus BYU, I would probably lean towards BYU a little bit more, just because it would be really cool to see that. I've never seen a BYU championship before, and it's been a long time for them. I think 84. Oh wow, was that 40 years? It's been 40 years since they won that can't be right, is it? Yeah, 84. Wow. And then the Ducks have been really close too. So, but my family is mostly BYU fans, so I think it would mean a little bit more for them to win. But that's way too far. That's a long distance. That's a long time in the future. So we're not going to worry about that right now. And actually, I thought I was going to be working during the Holy War, but it turns out the Holy War is a week after my season ends. So that's awesome. I was bummed out. I thought I was going to have to miss that game, but it turns out I should be able to catch it. I just have to figure out where and who we're going to watch that with. So anyway, that's enough of that, let's get into the 49ers versus Chiefs. Okay, before we get into the 49ers versus Chiefs, I actually wanted to bring something up, which is pretty awesome. Ricky Pearsall returned to practice this week. I have a theory for what this could mean for the 49ers, and I think it really might happen. John Lynch, I saw a few quotes from him. They might have been from earlier today, that Ricky has a really good chance to be activated for Sunday, and so that's pretty crazy. Hopefully he's, in good shape. He's ready to go. It's going to be his first NFL action. I think that would be awesome. They have to do something to get the crowd going, get the team going right before the game. Introduce Ricky Pearsall and have him run out of the tunnel, or I don't know, name him as one of the starters or something. That would be pretty cool. So I think you've got to do that. I mean, that guy survived a shooting. He was literally shot in the chest, and man, it's pretty wild. So that would be really awesome. I think that would give this team a little bit of a boost, and that's something that they might need against a tough opponent like the Kansas City Chiefs. I actually have a theory about what Ricky Pearsall could mean for this 49ers offense. Something that I've noticed from Shanahan, and he's been criticized for this a little bit, and I can kind of understand why. Traditionally, this team has been known as a run first, physical, play action, quick drop back passing, or quick drop back team. Hasn't really been known for spreading it out, going out into shotgun, 3 receiver sets. But I think this offseason, Kyle Shanahan decided he was going to evolve his offense a little bit more. Now, I know they drafted Pearsall and Jacob Cowing, and they weren't entirely sure. There was a really good chance they were going to trade Ayuk. They were right on the cusp of trading Brandon Ayuk. But I really think even before that, whether they had Ayuk or not, Shanahan decided that he was going to start to evolve this offense. And part of evolving it meant spreading it out a little bit more, running more 3 receiver packages. And we've seen hints of that during this season. We've seen Purdy come out and shotgun and throw, rather than run, run 40 times a game. That's always what Shanahan wants to do. If you can run the ball 40 times, you are probably going to win that game. And I think that's true. I think they still would like to stick that to that philosophy. I mean, we'll see if Jordan Mason's healthy. I mean, they have Garendo, but they have quite a few receivers on their team right now, and they haven't made any moves at running back. Like, I think that's a good sign for Mason going into this Chiefs game. He might be good to go, but besides that, they have Garendo, they have Patrick Taylor, and I have no idea who else they would have behind those 2 guys. So it's been interesting that they haven't made any running back moves. They haven't brought in a guy like Breida, and I really think it's because Kyle Shanahan is wanting to evolve this offense and go to more of a spread out shotgun passing attack, and he might have faith that Brock is the guy that can do that for him. And that's part of the reason why they drafted Pearsall and Cowing. They still have Debo. They've got Ayuk, Jennings. Jennings might not play this week, but they keep Ronnie Bell on the roster. Chris Conley. Who else? Is there another guy I'm forgetting? No, I think that's it. So I can really see this team start to evolve. And we saw it a little bit in the Super Bowl last year. Shanahan was criticized for coming out in the shotgun and throwing against the Chiefs. And I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think Shanahan really believes that's the way to attack this Chiefs defense. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second, because I actually watched part of the first Super Bowl for the Chiefs, where the Chiefs played the Niners. So yeah, it would not surprise me at all if we saw Ricky Pearsall pretty involved in this game. I think he probably won't be, because it's his first game back, and he might not be completely in football shape. There's only one way to really do that, which is to play games. But it would not surprise me to see if Pearsall is pretty involved in this team's attack on Sunday. So we'll keep an eye on that. And let's go into this first 49ers versus Chiefs Super Bowl. The other day, I was scrolling through the different channels on my TV because I was trying to find the Utah Hockey Club game. It was on that night, and I had just rescanned to see if I got that free channel, and I didn't. So I was looking through the sports section to see if maybe for some reason it's under a different channel number or in a different location than it normally would be. And as I was doing that, I actually came across the 49ers versus Chiefs Super Bowl. It was being replayed on, I don't know if it was NFL Network or NFL Classics, or there there was a specific channel it was on, and I, for some reason, decided I was going to watch it. So I turned it on, and it was in the second half. It was right when Patrick Mahomes threw his first interception, and I was like, man, this, first of all, how did the 49ers blow this game? They had all the momentum. I think it was 13-10 when I started watching. Mahomes threw a pick. The Niners drove right down the field and scored a touchdown. Who scored that touchdown? I think it was Mostert. Mostert got in. So it was 20-10, and then Mahomes throws a second pick in the fourth quarter. And anyway, I was a little bummed out. I was just really wondering how the 49ers really blew that game. Obviously, I know Shanahan stopped giving it to Debo. He stopped running the ball. I know all that stuff. But I mean, how do you let it happen? That's what I'm getting at. Is like, how do you let that happen? And there were a few eerily similar situations that I observed compared to the last Super Bowl earlier this year. The 49ers defense, when they were up 20-10, started playing a lot of soft zone coverage. They were giving Mahomes short passes where he thrives. They were not blitzing. They had just a four-man rush. Bosa, Buckner, Armstead occasionally. Who's the other guy? I don't know, but I can't remember. But that first defensive line, I think, was the most effective out of the 49ers defensive lines that we've seen. Last Super Bowl, they had a little bit of a drop-off, and then this season they have more of a drop-off. So I was watching that game, and I was like, man, the Niners are playing this soft zone coverage again. Mahomes just went right down the field. They got 2 touchdowns. They went up 24-20. So there was that. They were just playing soft zone. And part of it is because Richard Sherman was a corner and he's a little bit slower, not at the prime of his career. So that's part of it. I forgot that he gave up a pretty big pass to Sammy Watkins. But yeah, the defense just didn't look like it had evolved. It doesn't look like it has evolved since then. I remember last Super Bowl watching and thinking this team is playing too much soft zone coverage. They're not blitzing. They're making it way too easy because Patrick Mahomes loves to dink and dunk the ball. He'll do it all day. I mean, that's the thing about Mahomes is, people say Brock is a dink and dunk quarterback. That's just not true. There's also nothing wrong with that. Like, that's how a lot of these guys have won Super Bowls. Tom Brady, dink and dunk the ball all day long. But the difference between a true dink and dunk quarterback and these Hall of Famers like Mahomes and Brady is they'll dink and dunk you, and then they'll throw it deep down the field. They'll make the big play when you need it. And Mahomes did that in that first Super Bowl. And it reminded me of that big play the Niners gave up in this last Super Bowl. I think it was Jair Brown and Sean Gibson, maybe. I don't remember. I haven't rewatched that play. But they gave up a big play, and it was like nothing crazy. It was just the defense a little bit out of position. And they did that in that first Super Bowl as well. And I think that was the one that set up their go-ahead touchdown. And then on the defensive side, or on the offensive side for the 49ers, Kansas City was bringing lots of pressure, and they showed blitz. They were doing a lot of simulated, where you have 6-7 guys on the line of scrimmage. It looks like it's a zero blitz, and sometimes they drop off. Sometimes they bring 3 guys on the left, 2 guys on the right. Sometimes they bring all the guys. And in third and long situations, which I remember from this last Super Bowl, they brought more guys than they had blockers. And that's the thing you can do on third and long. You can have all your defensive backs play, just give up a catch, just don't let them get past the sticks. And then you can blitz, so you have to make a quick decision. Then you have to can't have deep developing routes. You have to make a quick decision, get the ball out to your receiver, and hope they can make play. And it really reminded that both Super Bowls were so similar in that way. And Steve Spagnuolo is a really, really good defensive coordinator. But I think if Kyle Shanahan is the offensive genius that people say he is, I think he should be able to come up with some answers to counteract what Spagnuolo is doing. Even in those third and long situations, there's got to be something that Shanahan can figure out from that. But yeah, that was just, it was crazy seeing just how similar those two games were. And maybe it's because Kyle Shanahan is a little predictable and the 49ers defense is a little vanilla, a little predictable. And I think they need to show, I don't think they should have done this in the Super Bowl, but they should have shown Mahomes stuff he hasn't seen before. Like, it seemed like they were running their same stuff. I don't remember them I think they blitzed a couple times and Fred Warner almost got a sack. But yeah, they need to be more creative defensively than running a soft zone, especially against Mahomes. But yeah, it was too bad watching that game. There's some plays you forget about, like Jimmy G taking a sack and then getting that last throw where he tries to use both his arms to get the ball out to, I think, Mostert out in the flat. Just too bad. Anyway, after that PTSD, let's get into this upcoming 49ers versus Chiefs matchup. I think the biggest key in this game is going to be Kyle Shanahan. Out of all of the other, you can say Mahomes versus Purdy, the offense versus the defense, the offense versus the offense. All those things are important, sure. But I really think that this is going to be more about, can Kyle Shanahan adapt and come up with answers against this Steve Spagnuolo defense? Because historically, Patrick Mahomes hasn't played his greatest games against the 49ers. Now, there was that game in 2022, I think, where the Chiefs won like 24-28 or something like that, or not 44-28. In that game, they just ran a bunch of screens, they ran a bunch of end arounds, a lot of stuff at the line of scrimmage. And so, I wouldn't say Mahomes really, took over that game. It was more like Andy Reid had a really good game plan for that one. And of course, Mahomes has to execute the game plan, but he has turned it over against the 49ers. He threw 2 picks in that first Super Bowl. He threw that pick in this last Super Bowl. So I really think it's not really about these quarterbacks. It's about this offense. Can this offense figure out an answer to the Steve Spagnuolo defense? Can it score in the red zone? Because the Chiefs defense, or the Chiefs offense, is actually, I think, worse than the 49ers in the red zone scoring this year. The Chiefs are undefeated, but they haven't played their best football. They've lost quite a few weapons. And so it's up to Shanahan to figure out a game plan that is effective against this Chiefs defense. And I think, the defense will be okay in this game. And so the offense, if they can figure it out, then I think they can win this game. And for the offense, I think some of the main keys for this offense are, number one is to stay out of third and long situations. This Chiefs defense thrives in third and long because Steve Spagnuolo is very creative. He will show pressure. Sometimes he'll bring pressure. Sometimes he'll drop guys back. I think overall he brings pressure. That's his tendency, is to bring pressure. And so you have to know how to counteract that. And part of doing that is staying out of third and long, because if it's 3rd and 4, you can do a quick developing route. If for some reason Spagnuolo sends 8 guys, that's pretty favorable for an offense, regardless of who your quarterback or weapons are. You can hit a quick pass, and if you can't get a first down on 3rd and 4, then you have bigger issues. But if it's 3rd and 14, you can play your defensive backs. You can have them back a little bit more, and then if you bring pressure, then Brock has to get the ball out quick, make a good decision, and then that guy has to go out and get 14 yards. And that's part of the reason why the Niners lost this last Super Bowl, and the first one as well. But they were in a lot of third and long situations, which is exactly where the Chiefs want them to be. So how do you avoid 3rd and long? This is going to be a little bit tough to do, because I don't know what Jordan Mason's status is for this game. And Guerrero had that really, really long run against the Seahawks, but besides that, he didn't look that great. And then Patrick Taylor didn't look that great either. So hopefully Mason is good to go, because I think the best way against this defense to stay out of 3rd and long is, first of all, don't commit penalties. Second, establish the run and play action. Because if you're in situations where you're in, a drop back passing game, or Brock has to, take shotgun or do a 5-step drop from under center, I think that really favors Chris Jones in this defensive line. And so getting Brock into situations where he can do play action, roll him out of the pocket, get him into situations where Chris Jones is going to be not right in front of him, getting in his face. I think it's going to be the most effective way as far as throwing the ball to move it against this Chiefs defense. Now, it's a lot easier said than done. This Chiefs defense is really good, but this offense is really good as well. And I think they are more than capable of doing it. And if you are in passing situations, or you can't run the ball, then I think the quick passing game is going to be really, really essential. You've got to be able to take what the defense gives you. You've got to run the Patrick Mahomes offense. If you look at Patrick Mahomes' passing chart, almost every game this year, the majority of his throws are right around the line of scrimmage or within a few yards. He doesn't have a bunch of deep passes. And the Chiefs lead the NFL in yak. 49ers are last in the NFL in yak. And so that's what I think you're going to have to do. Run the ball, play action. If that's not working, quick passes, screens, throwing the ball where you can get the ball out of Brock's hands very quickly. And then lastly, the biggest issue this 49ers offense has had, they've been able to move the ball really, really well. Really, really well. And I think they should be putting up a lot more points than they have, but they haven't been able to finish in the red zone, or in the red zone. They haven't been able to score touchdowns, and that is going to be very important in this game, especially considering that they're down to their third kicker, and Anders Carlson is not very good. I felt, hey, Matthew Wright, got to give him props. Coming off the street and scored 3 field goals against the Seahawks. I was rooting for him, and then he got hurt, and Anders Carlson is not very good. There's a reason why he was not the Niners' first choice when they were trying to find someone to replace Jake Moody. So I think this means hopefully that Shanahan is a little bit more aggressive in the red zone, willing to go for it a little bit more on fourth down, because that's what this Chiefs team would do, and you've got to match their energy. In fact, you should force the Chiefs to have to match your energy. In my opinion, you've got to be the aggressor, and so that's what I want to see. Finishing in the red zone. I mean, that's tough to do against this Chiefs defense. We saw the Niners struggle with that in the Super Bowl, and then of course there's the matchup against Chris Jones. Dominic Purdy is going to have his hands full, and I think we're really going to see like Chris Jones is a Hall of Famer, right? He's an amazing football player. He's an absolute beast of a human being. He's so tall and strong, and so Purdy, if he can hold his own, that would be really impressive, and I guess we'll see what Purdy can do. On the defensive side of the ball, like I said before, this team has actually played pretty well against Patrick Mahomes in the past, and so forcing turnovers I think is going to be really key. Mahomes has thrown picks against this 49ers defense. He only has 4 interceptions total. 3 of those were in Super Bowls. And so I think this defense is more than capable of forcing Mahomes to turn the ball over. They're also down to, I think Kareem Hunt is their running back this week. And he's a pretty strong running back. You might be able to get a punch out on him. I don't know. So forcing turnovers is going to be important as well. And Travis Kelce has put the ball on the ground as well. So, hey, he might have some opportunities. Fred Warner has been punching balls out left and right this season. It would not surprise me to see another one in this game. So yeah, forcing turnovers, of course you always want to do that, but especially against Mahomes, and then you have to hope that your offense can go out there and finish drives and make the most out of those turnovers, because that can really change a game. The second key is tackling. The Chiefs love to dink and dunk. They lead the NFL in yak tonight, in yak this season, and so you've got to be sure in your tackling. They're going to throw a ton of screens, a ton of stuff at the line of scrimmage, jet sweeps. Xavier Worthy is one of the fastest players in the NFL. You're going to see a lot of misdirection, and so that's where I think you really have to. You cannot miss tackles against this defense, against this offense, because if you do that, they're just going to get yak. They're going to cut you by a million paper cuts. They're going to beat you by cutting you. Oh, what's the say? Death by a million paper cuts. That's what it is, and that's what the Chiefs are willing to do. That's what they've done all this season. They don't have that many explosive plays. Patrick Mahomes is more than capable, but I don't think they have the weapons around him to do that. So a lot of dink and dunk, a lot of quick passing game. You've got to tackle. And the Niners don't have a good matchup against Kelce this time around. We saw Dre Greenlaw really put Kelce in a chokehold in the Super Bowl before he was injured. Everyone saw Kelce yelling at Andy Reid, just going ballistic on him, and then Greenlaw goes out, and the rest is history. So the key with Kelce is that he does not like contact. We saw that with Greenlaw. Greenlaw was pressing him. He was hitting him, and Greenlaw is the guy to do that for the 49ers. He's the perfect anti-Kelce. And unfortunately, he's out. There's not another guy that really matches up with Kelce. Warner might be able to, but I don't know if you want to pull Warner from the middle of the field, because then your running defense will suffer a little bit. And so I don't think you can really do that. This is where I think having the 3-headed monster at safety may have been effective, because with Jair Brown, Malik Mustafa, and Talanoa Hufanga, I think Hufanga and even Mustafa could match up pretty well with Kelce. He's a pretty big guy, but those guys are physical, and he's not particularly fast. Hufanga is not that fast, but I think that's a situation where you really could have seen the 3-headed monster emerge for the 49ers at safety. Hufanga could match up with him one-on-one, so could Mustafa. And so what I think the Niners really need to focus on is hitting Kelce within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, because you can do that. He doesn't like contact. It is hard to hit him because he is such a big-bodied guy. That's why if he's going over the middle, Fred, you hit him. Devondre Campbell, you hit him. Because if you can somehow stop Kelce, then you just have Juju Smith Smith-Schuster and Xavier Worthy, which I don't know who you put on Worthy because Ward has struggled this season. I think this could be a game where you see potentially Renardo Green or Diamador Lenore follow Xavier Worthy around. Those are two of the faster cornerbacks on this team, and you might want to match speed on speed with them because these safeties are pretty slow. The rest of the defense is pretty slow, so I don't know. It could be, I think it's going to be a pretty tough matchup for this defense. And then the last area of focus is the special teams. Look, you're down to your last kicker, or you're down to third kicker this season. Really, the only thing that I want from the special teams is for me not to talk about them on my reaction to this game. I don't want the special teams to be, I just want a neutral special teams game for once where nothing happens on special teams. Kick it off, touchback, probably not touchback. Anders Carlson is not very good at touchbacks. Sure, tackling, maybe you give up a run to the 35 or 40. I can live with that. Just no touchdowns given up, no blocked punts or blocked field goals. Just a good, clean special teams game. That is all I want from the special teams, and we'll see if they can pull that off with their third kicker this season. I haven't really even talked about Brock yet at this point, and I actually have confidence in Brock. I think if you see Brock struggle, it'll be because Shanahan is not giving him proper answers against this Spagnuolo defense. I mean, Brock played really well in the Super Bowl. I mean, what was that? Brock's 20th start, 20 something like that. How many games did Brock played before the Super Bowl? And he went out there and he didn't act like he was, Brock did his job. He did not leave the field without giving the 49ers a lead. Now, could they have scored more touchdowns? Sure. Shanahan could have given him better answers against the Spagnuolo defense. Brock did mention that he locked onto a few guys and made some passes that he shouldn't have. And I do think Brock has a tendency to, if someone gets hot, he's more likely to focus on that guy. Even if other guys might be getting open, Brock has a little bit of a tendency to lock on to whoever's hot in the game. We saw that with the Jawan Jennings game. We saw that in the game where Ayuk started to go off. And so really what I want to see from Brock is doing what he does best, which is read, go through his reads, make sure passes, play with anticipation, but also be willing to take the easy checkdowns, take what the defense is giving you. Because in this, like I mentioned before, against this defense, 3rd and 5 is a lot more manageable than 3rd and long, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12. So, hey, I'm sure you want to take these deep shots. You want to push the ball down the field a little bit, but really you've got to try to get as many yards as you can against this defense. You've got to, take what the defense gives you. Play like Patrick Mahomes. Dink and dunk it as much as you can. And then there's going to be a situation where you can open up the defense, take a deep shot. That's when you take it. So that's really what I want to see from Brock. Don't get too crazy with trying to make a play. This defense is going to wear out these receivers and this offensive line, so you can't go around and scramble for 10 seconds. Go through your reads, boom, 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 take the check down. Or if you do scramble out, if no one gets open right away, just throw the ball out of bounds, throw the ball away, live to see another down. It can even scramble a little bit, and that might be one of the keys in this game is Brock scrambling. But yeah, I have a lot of faith in Brock. I think he's going to have a solid game, and I'm not too worried at all about how he's going to play. Okay, 2 players on offense who, actually we're going to do 3 players on offense who I really want to see step up in this game. 2 of them are skill players who had very quiet Super Bowls. I don't think it's entirely their fault. I think it's partially on Shanahan, but I want to see Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle involved heavily in this game. They were very, very quiet in the Super Bowl. I think George had 2 catches for 4 yards, and Brandon Ayuk didn't do anything special. And so I want to see that this week. I want to see them involved, get them multiple targets whenever they throw the ball. I want to see a lot of play action if they can establish the run. And I think Ayuk and Kittle thrive in the play action passing game. So that's what I want to see from those guys. And then Dominic Puni, I want to see him step up and play respectable against Chris Jones. I don't think you can go out here and say, I want you to shut down. Hey, rookie, can you shut down Chris Jones? I don't think that's going to happen. But I want him to, play a respectable game against him, because I think Puni has the potential to be a star player on this offensive line. So I'd like to see how he fares against one of the best defensive tackle in the NFL. Defensively, Nick Bosa I know I mentioned him last game. He had 14 pressures, which is awesome. No sacks. I know he probably wanted one, but against a guy like Geno Smith, you can get away with pressures, and that'll be enough to impact him. I really want to see him get home against Patrick Mahomes. I mentioned this earlier, but rewatching that first Super Bowl, I totally forgot that Nick Bosa knocked the ball out of Mahomes' hands, and unfortunately it bounced right back to Mahomes. But I just want to see Nick Bosa go crazy and get at least 2 sacks against Patrick Mahomes. I think that would be awesome, especially because Nick Bosa was part of the reason why they gave up that big run to Mahomes in the Super Bowl on 4th down. So that's one guy that I want to see step up, and he's a one-man wrecking crew out there. This defensive line is not the strongest that the Niners have ever had. It's really been mostly Bosa this season, and so I know Andy Reid really does a good job against Bosa. He'll send multiple guys at him, and so I want to see Bosa play like he's the best defensive end in the NFL. I want to see that on this Sunday. Besides him on defense, I really want to see this defensive back group step up. I mean, they've slowly improved. I thought this would be the best defensive back group this team has ever had, and up to this point they've been a little underwhelming, but last week they had 2 interceptions by rookie players. I think Renardo Green should be the 3rd cornerback if Charvarius Ward comes back, and so I'd like to really see the secondary play well in this game, and I think they can get an interception on Mahomes, and if they could score defensively, that would be awesome as well. I don't think that would happen. And so in this game, what I really want to see what I don't want to see are explosive plays, sure tackling. And if Mahomes has to beat you by a million paper cuts, then I think that would be ideal. But this team always seems to give up one key explosive play to Mahomes. And, he throws up some deep pass and our defenders can't make a play on it. So that's what I don't want to see in this game. That's what I want to see from this defensive back group. So I'm going to go ahead and give my recap of the 49ers keys versus the Chiefs and my final score prediction. 49ers keys versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The biggest key is Kyle Shanahan versus Andy Reid. Well, actually, versus Steve Spagnuolo. Spagnuolo has outcoached Shanahan every time they have faced each other. And I think that is the most important matchup. Shanahan's got to figure out answers to what Spagnuolo's defense is doing. On offense, you've got to stay out of 3rd and long situations. The Chiefs' D thrives in those situations and gets the most creative then. You've got to establish the run and play action game early, move Brock out of the pocket, and finish drives in the red zone. It's down to the 3rd kicker. You do not want to kick field goals with Anders Carlson. On defense, this team has actually played pretty well against Mahomes in the past. You're going to be able to get a turnover or 2 against them. Tackling is going to be key. This team likes to dink and dunk the ball. They'll beat you by a million paper cuts. So limiting yak tackling is important. And the 49ers don't have a great matchup against Travis Kelce. He doesn't like contact. Hit him within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage and be physical with him. The 49ers have not beat the Chiefs since 2014, and unfortunately, I think the trend continues this week. I think the 49ers, until they can beat the Chiefs, I will have to pick the Chiefs every time, and I've got them winning this game 27-24. It does pain me that I have to pick the Chiefs for this game, but like I said, the Niners haven't beat them since 2014. And until they can prove that they can do it, I have to pick the Chiefs. I mean, that's one of the best quarterbacks of all time, one of the best coaches of all time, and defensive coordinators. So, yeah, I hate that I have to, but hopefully the Niners can prove me wrong and go out there and win on Sunday. Tell me down below. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Will the 49ers finally get this monkey off their back? I don't know how important this game is for the 49ers psyche. Like being 0-4 against this team the last 4 years or whatever it is. That would be hard to overcome, I think, if they played in the Super Bowl again this season. Not impossible. But, I mean, there are other teams. It's not guaranteed that the Chiefs will be in the Super Bowl. It's not guaranteed the Niners will be in the Super Bowl. But if it did come down to that matchup, I think that would be kind of hard to overcome mentally for the Niners. They might be able to. I think they have the guys to be able to, but yeah, hopefully they can go out there and figure it out on Sunday, because that's what I want to see. I'm tired of not ever winning against this Chiefs team, who, quite frankly, they should have beat last year. They should have won the first Super Bowl they played. So I have to be honest. I have to be realistic. That's a good Chiefs defense, and they haven't played their best offensively this season either. They're coming off a bye week, which Andy Reid has been historically really good coming off a bye week, and he's been historically good coming off, being able to prepare for a long period of time against the 49ers. So, yeah, hate to end on a bummer like that. But stay tuned. I'll be releasing my reaction to that game, my analysis, hopefully within a day or two of the game finishing. So I'll see you Monday or Tuesday, or at least you'll hear from me Monday or Tuesday. And hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully the Niners go home with a W. Well, stay home with a W. I think that would be awesome. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you who took the time to listen to this episode today. Sports Time with Chris. I haven't finalized a schedule. You can expect episodes every Saturday, however. And I have a loose goal in mind of having a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday slate, so that, Tuesday will most likely be reacting to the 49ers games whenever they happen. Thursday will most likely be local sports. And then Saturday will be a preview of upcoming games for the 49ers, at least during football season. That could change, once football season is over. Anyway, if you haven't yet, please like the video, subscribe. And give me your score predictions down below, and let me know if you think the Niners will finally figure out how to beat this Chiefs team. Anyway, that's going to do it for Sports Time with Chris. Before I go, I have already made this decision, but if the 49ers do win on Sunday, then I am planning on getting myself a new 49ers shirt jersey. I have it narrowed down to a few players that I want to get. But yeah, hopefully the Niners win, because I have been itching to get myself a new shirt from the 49ers team store. And I haven't yet. But if they win on Sunday, then I will pull the trigger. Anyway, that's I'll let you know if the Niners win, which player I will be choosing. And I don't know if anyone actually cares about that, but I do, and I wanted to let you know. So, yeah, anyway, this has been Sports Time with Chris.